You ever known somebody who was so humble that you almost couldn't stand it? No, I'm not talking about myself here. I don't mean that. And yet, being humble can be such a trap because there is such a fine line. It's been said that humility can be another form of arrogance. You have people in the church that, I don't know why God has anything to do with me. I'm the worst sinner in the world. I'm just so horrible. How can God ever forgive me? I'm so bad. Wow. It's all about you, isn't it? You're not repenting, you're bragging. You think you should be in the running for the title of world's greatest humble person. Paul kind of sounded a little bit like that today in the second reading. I was once a blasphemer and a persecutor and arrogant. Christ Jesus came into the world to save sinners. Of these, I am the foremost. But Paul wasn't bragging. Paul wasn't trying to call attention to himself. Paul was opening people up to the argument, to the obvious fact of God's mercy, forgiveness. There can always be a new beginning. There can always be a fresh start with God. And we have a hard time accepting that. We're sure, because of what was put into our heads and our hearts the time we were little kids, that there's an element about God that has to do with punishing and paying for sins and errors and stupid decisions. And yet Jesus tells these stories. Who among you, if you had 100 sheep and you lost one, wouldn't right away leave the 99 and go and search for the one? And anyone who was listening to him that was a shepherd would have said, I wouldn't. That's stupid. You got to assume that there are going to be losses. 1%? You're doing well if that's all of your flock that you lost. You go after the one, and how many others are going to go wandering off? Jesus said, and then when he finds his sheep, he'll bring his friends together and say, you got to rejoice with me. I found my lost sheep. Wouldn't you all do that? No. To admit to others that I had lost part of my flock? To admit to others that I had taken the unbelievable step of leaving my flock and going after the one? I would lose face. I would lose honor. I'm not going to tell people about that. Or what woman among you, having 10 coins, loses one is not going to sweep the house and clean and search. When she finds her lost coin, they call her friends together and say, let's party. As if we need a reason or an excuse. No. Okay. So you had a close call. You almost lost a tenth of the household allowance. Nothing to brag about. But Jesus says that's how God is. And that's how God is with us. Now, the difference between the shepherd who goes out and looks for his sheep or the woman who looks for her lost coin and God is, if you're a sheep and your owner finds you, it's not something where the owner says, would you like to come back to the flock and join us? It's up to you. No. The woman doesn't say to the coin, well, okay, I'm glad I know where you are. You want to come back and jump in the purse, or you want to just stay hidden again? No. But God, with us, He leaves it up to us. He respects our freedom. And we don't always use our freedom well with God. As you heard in the announcements, we're starting up among our other religious education programs, we're starting up our Becoming Catholic programs, our Rite of Christian Initiation of adults and Rite of Christian Initiation of children. And this group over here with the name tags on, that's our RCIC Sunday group. These are adults and children and families that are looking to explore the Christian faith, to make a decision to join the church or to be baptized. Nobody's forcing them, unless Mary has changed her tactics over the last couple of years and I didn't know about it. People have the right to choose God. God is always inviting. Isn't it amazing how sometimes we only accept God on our own terms? This is something that was given to me. It's very, very powerful, I think. For people that think that they have the Christian faith figured out. For people who have made up their minds that they know what God is about, and so they're not going to bother. Reject Christianity, if you will, out of motives of cynicism. Turn away from it because you believe that reality is malignant and punitive. Choose a God that is cantankerous, vindictive, or forgetful, or determined to keep humanity in its place, if such a God is more to your choosing. If you cannot accept the idea that love is at the core of the universe, that is your privilege. If you do not believe that the absolute passionately wants to be our friend and our lover, and by all means, reject such a seemingly absurd notion. If you do not believe that we have the enthusiasm and the strength and the courage and the creativity to love one another as friends, then quickly cast aside such an incredible idea into the trash can. And if you think it is ridiculous to believe that life will triumph over death, then don't bother with Christianity, because you can't be a Christian unless you believe that. God is always inviting, drawing us to see him more clearly, to understand the depth of his love. In some ways we come around readily. In other ways we resist. Different degrees. But he doesn't stop. He wants us. He wants to love us. And he wants us to know that.